This one's not what you think. You think that firefighters just show up, spray water, and save the day. Well, that's not this. This is 2 a.m., dead asleep, then instantly packing on 70 pounds of gear and entering someone's worst nightmare. This is running toward the thing that everyone else is running from. This is making life or death decisions with just 2 people on the scene. And you know what? Here's what surprised me. It's not just fire. It's car wrecks. It's cardiac arrests. People on the edge, and you're the calm in the chaos. This guy walked away from a high-paying job, had the house, the toys, everything, and said, "I'm miserable." This is what he chose 12 years ago, and he's still doing it. And what he told me about fear, about pressure, about what actually matters, it isn't what you think. So let's get into it. This is Adam Strobeck's story being a firefighter. Let's go.
Adam Strobeck, thank you. I appreciate you coming on like this. You are a firefighter in Chehalis, Washington, where is Chehalis? A little bit south of Seattle, right?
Yep, south of Seattle, south of Olympia a little bit. So yeah, about 30 minutes south of Olympia.
Why did you decide to become a firefighter? What
Uh,
what went into
I
that?
was done. I was done with college, and I was in a sales management job for 5 or 6 years, and I
Mhm.
made good money, but I was miserable. I hated going to work. I had a Harley, I had a house, I had a Land Cruiser, I had everything that you could ever imagine that I would want at 20 some years old, mid 20s.
Mhm.
And I was miserable. And I quit and said, what can I do, or what should I do? And so I was like, well, I want to help people. I have a big heart. A lot of people say that. So I just was like, well, I'll just go into EMT school. And that
Mhm.
did like 3 or 4 months, enjoyed that. Then I was like, well, I'll go into paramedic school, which is 2 years. And while I was doing that, I started volunteering at a fire department. And I met some lifelong friends, and they said, why don't you be you can be a firefighter paramedic? And I was like, oh,
Oh,
I never, I thought I was just going to work on an ambulance for AMR or something like
yeah.
that, and they were like, no, 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 no. And so I tested and got in, and it's been phenomenal.
So that had to have been a heck of a transition, right? Going
Uh,
from office work to thinking that you were going to be ambulance. But with fire, being a fireman, there's a different level of physicality expected of you, right? You have to be prepared in a different way than working AMR or a paramedic, right?
yeah, for sure. It's physically demanding job, and so and you're using a lot of your muscle groups that you wouldn't. I mean, like throwing ladders and things like that, to where you're not just like curling things and squatting things, and so it's just
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
it's doing it from a dead sleep, right? So we get calls at 2 in the morning, and they're
yeah.
expected to go and essentially work out. You're put on a bunch of gear,
Oh
and
gosh.
the gear weighs. I mean, without the gear, I'm 240 pounds. With the gear, I'm over 300 pounds. So it's 60,
Wow.
70 pounds of gear that you're throwing on the stuff, and then now you're doing work, right? So
Wow.
you're doing a lot of work. So yes, it's very physically demanding. Thankfully, when I got into it late, but thankfully when I got into it, I was pretty physically fit, and that was right when I played football in college, and I was close to 300 pounds, and I lost about 100 pounds. I was about to 200 pounds. So I was pretty physically fit back then.
You started relatively late.
Late.
For most firefighters are starting
Young
about what
kids.
age?
Yeah. So mid 20s and even
Okay.
earlier nowadays. So when I got into it, it was the fire service. It was I remember testing for Portland at the time. This
Hmm.
was when I first started, and we were at the convention center, and there was 5,000 people there. and then they testing for probably, I don't know, 10 jobs, 20 jobs, and then
Wow.
they asked how many people flew in, and half the room flew into Portland to apply to be a firefighter. So nowadays, it's a little bit different, and I think a lot of it's some people don't want to do the job because of either, physically demanding, or they don't want to see what we see on a daily
Yeah.
basis, because we see, and we when a fire happens in the building, everybody's running out of the building, we're running towards the building, right?
All right, so I'm looking for 3 people right now. I'm looking for a prison chaplain, I'm looking for an undercover journalist, and I am also looking for a circus performer. I want to know how somebody, well, do they just run away with the circus? Is that what they do? Do they just see an interesting story and start discovering it? Do they read mystery books? What do they do? How do they learn how to do all of this stuff? I want to know how all of these lives work. And so if you know one of these people, or if you are one of these people, I want you to click the link down below and fill out a form and come on the show, because there's a whole lot of us that would love to hear your story and would find it inspiring for other people that are considering doing careers and considering living lives that most people don't think are even possible or question them a lot. So if you could fill out the form, that would be awesome. Okay, let's get back to Adam Strobeck now.
We go to the proverbial dumpster fire, whereas everybody is running away from that. So it's just kind of have to be wired differently, or learn how to adapt to those, seeing that on a regular basis.
That's a lot of
It,
people fighting for 10 jobs.
yeah, yeah. But you, getting to the youth movement, it used to be you had to volunteer and you had to do all these steps to
Hmm.
become a firefighter. Now, we're hiring across, Washington State. They're hiring young kids, 21, 22, 23, and normally they would want experience via being a volunteer, or a lateral, or some being at another fire department and coming to this
Yeah.
fire department or whatever. So, but nowadays, it's a struggle to try to hire at this point.
Wow.
And so
Wow.
in the fire service, they group hire. And so when they hire a bunch of people, like 10 people, those 10 people 30 years will retire, and so then they'll need that big group to hire again, right?
Oh,
So we're in that, not right now, a ton of
yeah.
retirements, right? And so
Yeah, yeah,
now
yeah.
these fire departments are like, oh my gosh, we need to hire, like,
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
they hired 10 or 20 people 30 years ago. And so it's just it's hard
Got
right
it.
now to some fire departments are giving bonuses to even try to entice people to come
Yeah.
apply.
Somebody like invited you to move over from, pursuing the paramedic line and come into the fire department. What was the thing that surprised you the most? You showed up and you were like, "Oh crap, I didn't see that coming."
Be very blunt here. It's just put the wet stuff on the red stuff, right? Like, so, and
Yeah.
how much, how technical it is, and how there's
Ah,
a lot that goes into it, and to where now that I've been in it and I've been around multiple different men and women that have that done the job, that
yeah.
you know who is a good firefighter. Like, they know their stuff, and they know like a lot of different facets of how to do the job. And so it is, when people may look at it, they're like, oh, it just seems easy, they just grab a hose and just put the water on the fire, it seems really
Yeah,
easy,
yeah.
right? Like, but it is way more technical than that. And it's awesome to see experience and people that know a lot in the fire service. So, and I,
Mm,
at first, when I was younger, but still older, but younger, I was like, oh,
sure.
I'll, this is, I can do this. And then I
Yeah.
realized real quick, like, oh, there's a lot that goes into it. So, and I need to study more, and I need to learn more, and
Yeah.
always be learning, and always be training, and always, like, don't get rusty,
Was there one that stands out to you as like, wow, this job is actually quite serious?
But yeah, no, it was a gnarly motorcycle wreck, involving a younger person, and
Mm,
it's going through it. It's harder to see, like, older people. You can always,
mm,
they lived a good
yeah.
life. They lived a good
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
life, and it's
Yeah,
but
you can tell
the young
yourself that story, but you can never tell yourself that story with a kid or
a
somebody
kid,
that's younger.
right, right, yeah, a younger
Yeah.
person. It's just like, oh man, it's too early. So yeah, no, it's and
Yeah.
we get a lot of those, so it's just hard.
Has there been any that stand out as like, you came in and you actually like it seems to me like the high point would be like being the hero, right? Even if you don't want to say, "Hey, I was a hero." Was there was there
You
one where you showed up and you were the difference between life and death and you went
yeah, like
home like,
well, medical calls, you get a lot of that. Like you get a lot of people who come back, and it's horrible because they bring treats. They always bring like baked goods, but they always come
yeah.
back like to the firehouse and say thank you for saving my life, or thank you for
Mm,
being there. And like it's that part is truly awesome. And like to see a person that either was in cardiac arrest that you saved, brought them back, or other things that horrible traumatic experiences that you either flew them in a helicopter and they survived because of it.
mm,
These things like that. And or fires that you got on scene real quick, and either if it started in the garage, you kept it in the garage so it didn't destroy their whole house.
yeah.
And people are very a lot more and more. You get people that are just happy that on things that they can't replace, pictures and things like that, right?
Sure.
Every
Mm, yeah,
furniture
yeah.
they can replace, TVs they can replace, all these things. But if you save, like I said, if it's in the garage and I mean, the garage burns pretty badly, but if you save the house and all their things that they cannot replace, they're like, oh my god, thank you so very much.
There
Those
you go.
things are worth it immensely. It's like, oh, okay, great. Like, and a lot of times it's only two of us for a while on fires and or medical calls. It's me and my lieutenant for 10 minutes, 15
Oh, like
minutes.
you guys are the first ones out? Like,
First ones out there. And sometimes
okay.
you are like on a fire or a cardiac arrest or things that are um, heavily dependent on power of manpower, woman, like people power to do this, and it's just two of you. So even that
Yeah.
part is just like you look at it and you're like, oh my god, like. But you got to act, right? You can't just sit there and be like, oh, like be a bystander and just look at it, just like, oh, yeah, like because everybody's looking at you to solve it,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
type of deal.
Okay, so
Yeah.
this actually is very different from what I have in my head. I have in my head a picture of half a dozen guys living at the firehouse. You get a call, all five or six of them jump on the vehicle and take off. But you're describing two people on scene until walk me through the mechanics of this. What's the logistics?
Smaller cities operate with 2 to 3 person on an engine or an ambulance
Okay,
responding, and we cross staff. So we have an ambulance and we have a fire engine. So if it's a medical
okay.
call, we take the ambulance. But if it's a fire call, we have to grab all of our gear, take it over to the fire engine, and we go in the fire engine. Right. So
Oh, okay.
you have to take whatever the call is, and
Yeah,
then when we get there, it's try to do as much as you can with two people until if it's a fire, more engines start arriving, and then you can do
yeah.
more things, right? We can't go interior with a fire with only two people. It's against the law. You can't do it.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Um,
wow.
because if one of us were to go down, then who's going to
Yeah,
save, right? Like, so you need to have
yeah,
some
yeah,
backup, but you can still do things, right? You can still do a
yeah.
lot to still put water on the fire, but and or medical calls. You can do a lot of things, but it's just a lot sometimes to try to, and that's where communication is huge, right? Like you two people are trying to talk, like I got this, you got this, like and if you work with somebody, like I've worked with my lieutenant for a long time, and it's just he knows what I'm going to do, so on a fire or a medical call, and then I know what he's going to do, right? Like so it's just, and we work really good with each other. So
Got it. Okay. Okay. So what part of the job surprised you with the amount of um, mental focus and stuff that you had to do? So you talked about how there was a lot of training and that you're continuing to try to get better and smarter at doing this stuff.
Yep.
And and I sort of assume that, as you guys go, like in the old days, it was just spray wet on red,
Red.
you know, and then we got into foam and we got into, everything started because there were problems that were at the top of the priority list, and you start working your way down, and it gets more and more technical. What are the things that you guys are that you've had to learn that you did not expect?
So in this industry, both medical and fire, it
Mm.
feels like there's things that come into like into things, and then you're like, well, that didn't work out, and then it goes out of favor, right? And then it comes back in. Medically, tourniquets, right? Like tourniquets, for a long time they're like, do not put tourniquets on people, do not do
Oh
it, do
yeah.
not do it. And then all of a sudden they're like, please put tourniquets on everybody, right? Like if they're bleeding,
Okay.
put a tourniquet.
Mm.
So in the fire service, it's the same thing. They're like, okay, like let's open up the building and blah blah blah. And then they came out with this thing called flow path. And if you start opening up doors and windows, well, then the fire's going to go that way, right? And if we
Yeah.
have people inside the fire, the smoke, everything is going to go towards where you're opening doors and windows, right? So
Got it.
they're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
do not open anything, and we will strategically open certain things to move the fire
Got it.
either away from victims and or personnel, or so
Mm.
it's just learning what is and it's evolving, right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
things are evolving, and which is helpful. More and more residentials are getting sprinklered, so that's which is a huge help for us.
Oh, excellent.
um yeah, so more and more things are getting sprinklered, which helps. But yeah, no, it's constant on learning, even to drag somebody, right? Like there's certain ways you can
Oh,
drag with
yeah.
our air packs, and how to like there's obvious ways, but then there's ways that help people that maybe aren't as strong, or give you a little advantage on lifting, mechanical advantage, like these things
Yeah.
that are just people are trying these different techniques and are learning. And then you got to see these videos and be like, okay, let's try that, let's try these things to to get better, right? Like to learn and
Yeah, yeah.
to um and with the fire service particularly, it's very hard to change some of the, because some of these people have been firefighting for
Oh, yeah.
30
Okay.
years, right? So
Yeah.
these people that have done it for 30 years say, hey, the way I did it on year one is the tried and true method. And so if
Mm.
a young guy or younger guy says, well, this is
Yeah.
a better way to do it, then the 30-year guy's like, well, no, we're going to do it my way, right? Like, so it's just a slower process when trying to change people's minds of like, oh yeah, there's a better way to do this.
Do you know
Yeah.
about what the population of Chehalis is?
I don't. I
Okay.
don't. I should know that, but I
I'll
don't.
look it up. I'll look it up and slap it
Yeah,
on the
I
screen.
don't.
But
I don't.
it's not Seattle.
No,
It's
no,
not a big town. It's
no.
not. Is there something that is, if somebody was transferring from a firehouse in Vancouver or Portland or Seattle and coming to Chehalis, what would be the things that they would say, well, that's very different from the city that I'm from? What
It's
would be
it's
the
it, it's
what would be
it's
the
a hundred
difference?
percent. It's 100% manpower. So Vancouver, they I believe they have 11 stations now. Maybe they have
Okay.
12 stations, and they're very strategically placed. But no matter where a fire happens or a cardiac arrest happens, you're gonna get a fairly sizable response.
Okay.
Us, there's in our kind of vicinity, we have probably three fire departments with each with one station, and we have two stations that are manned. But so instead of getting like five or six or seven engines like a Vancouver, we would be lucky to get three or four. So
Okay.
like a big fire, it's just harder to get people um to the incident. And so
Okay.
you're
So
having you're relied on to do a lot more. It's not
got it.
to
Geographically it's different, and are there am I going to find lots of old buildings, new buildings?
Yeah, there, in
You know,
Chehalis, there's a lot of old buildings, old buildings.
like
There's a
brick
building.
and stuff, right?
Yep,
Like there's a
yep.
fair
And
amount of
there's a
brick in it.
yep brick in downtown, and
You're showing up to, for some people, this is the crappiest day of their whole life.
100%.
Um, and I know that some people quit after a while of doing that. You know, I've been
Hmm.
around people that have been like paramedics and stuff like that, and they're like,
Hmm.
you know, this is something that I have a difficult time with bringing home. How do you deal with that? What's the story that you tell yourself when you're seeing somebody on their roughest day, and how do you leave it at work, or do you?
Uh, it is very tough. It is probably the toughest thing of our job, um, and coping mechanisms, right? How to cope with
Yeah.
that and being able to not only see that and then go back to the firehouse and be like, okay, now we have to respond to another call just like that, right? Even going home, if we're going home to the firehouse and tones go off, I, even though if you're in your feels, you still got to go to that call, right? Like you can't just be like, nah, I'm going to take a break or
Hmm.
um, so it is very difficult. I usually I have a good support system, fellow firefighters that I've either worked with or friends with, or that I talk to. Family's always great. When I get home, I like to run. I work out, work at the house, or I paint a lot. I like to oil paint.
You had made a comment that that people that you intervene and you bring them back. They were gonna die, and you brought them
Mhm.
back, and then they'll drop by the firehouse and give you cookies or
Yeah. Oh yeah.
a
Yeah.
bottle of wine or whatever, right?
Yep.
So the only time that I actually ever see firefighters and EMTs and that sort of thing is actually at the grocery store.
Okay.
Do people come up and say thank you there, or do they
100%.
express gratitude when you guys are out in public?
I tell you what, like it's even when I wear like an IAFF shirt. Earlier today, I was at Home Depot and somebody said, "Hey, thank you for what you do," and I
Hmm.
said I appreciate it immensely. And so yes, no, everybody is. We do get a little guff because people think all we do is or we take time off the clock to go to the grocery store, right?
Yeah.
And then some people don't realize that we're there for a day or two or three in a row, and it's
Oh yeah.
like. How do we get to the grocery store if we're here for 72 hours in a row? Like so.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it is the outpouring of people saying thank you and is awesome, and it's always appreciated, and it's sometimes when you've had a rough day or a rough couple weeks, and you get that, it's a little boost to the um, just what we do, right? It's just like okay, like that helps and gets me going a little
Mm.
bit, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's good.
So one of the things that, and you kind of alluded to it earlier, was that you wind up leaning on some of the guys at the firehouse,
Yeah,
on a rough call or whatever.
yeah, yeah.
Um, Tell me about the bond between firefighters.
So when I got hired at Camus first,
Okay.
and when I volunteered in Washougal, Camus and Washougal eventually merged, but I volunteered in Washougal. I met a couple guys that um, we got along very well, and it got to the point where like I babysat for one of the guys' kids, and this was years ago. And if when we do wildland fires and we're on the eastern side of the state and something one of the wives needs something or whatever, they can reach out and we can help. Or if the kids need whatever, it's
Oh,
and then it's just one of those things. And even I told my wife about it. Like if those fellas ever need anything, I need to act. I need to go help. And
got it.
we've helped all of each other's with their houses, right? So putting flooring down or
Yeah.
roofs on, or like it's just
Yeah. Yeah.
even in my department now, like my lieutenant, like is if there's anything I need, like if I need to go home real quick for something at home, he's like, "Yep, go." and or if I need help with something, he's like, I'll help, and vice versa. Like it's just one of those
Yeah.
things. You're counting on these people to save your life or to be there. Like if you go down in a fire, like
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with my like
Somebody's
I
got to come
expect
in and drag me out, you know.
drag me out, right? And I'm not light, so it's just like I'm 300 pounds, so like
Yeah.
and vice versa. Like I think it's just one of those things. Like if we have that bond, and to where it's like, yeah, and you spend a lot of time with them, right? Like
Yeah.
I know we only work, 9 or 10 days a month, but that's 24 hours, 48 hours at a time, and so
Yeah.
you eat
No,
dinner with those people.
yeah. No, that's a
You,
full time, but it's
yep,
in a
yep,
different schedule.
it's
So
yep.
okay, so you guys are definitely more involved with your coworkers' families,
Oh,
but
100%.
and it's funny because even saying coworker sounded like it wasn't quite enough to really capture what's going on. Now, how long have you been married?
Great question.
Was it
I want to
before
say
you
it's
became a
two,
firefighter?
no, no, no,
Okay.
no. Later on, 2 years.
Okay. Because I was going to ask, like, when what's the effect on the wives, the firefighters' wives,
It's huge.
especially when a guy goes from a 40-hour a week job to all of a sudden he's gone for 7 days and
Yep. It's
um
huge. And like when you come home, you're either sometimes you're mentally drained or physically and mentally drained, right? Like
yeah
if you there's times where I don't sleep. I go to work and I stand up and I'm up for 48 hours, right? Like you're just because people keep calling, right? Like and I can't.
yeah
So, and I come home and obviously there's things to be done. You have to be a dad, and you have to be like a husband and things like that. And so it's just a lot of, and even the kids have to realize like sometimes maybe the first day back, like I'm like, give me some grace here and let me try to get some rest and I'll be 100% here in a second. But and that
yeah
took time. That took time because they were like, what's wrong with you and things like that. And
yeah
my wife had to realize like, like it's just different. It's like and thankfully she was a nurse before her job now,
oh wow
and so she gets it. So she gets the lingo and she gets all the stuff to where and she understands. So,
yeah
um,
you're
but
probably
some
able to have discussions with her
yeah, yeah,
that would be lost on people that aren't trained like her or don't
right.
see what
And
she sees.
right. And I can't, like, sometimes when the people like try to talk to my friends that aren't in the fire service and I tell them about certain things that I see or whatever, and their mouths are wide open, like, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
maybe I shouldn't have shared that. So it's just,
Yeah.
yeah, it's nice to have a good outlet. But it does take time to learn and to understand and to, um, get used to.
Got it. Okay, so I'm going to give you whiplash and move on to something else completely different.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is a what is a movie scene that you look at and just go, what in the world? Like that is the cringiest. That has nothing to do with reality. I'm sure that there's been a movie or two where the firefighters did something that
I don't
doesn't
know about
happen.
I don't know about a movie, but all the shows that come out now,
Okay.
like Chicago Fire,
Okay.
all these TV shows where they have like, and it's just
You guys don't
uh,
watch those around the firehouse, do you?
no,
Okay. Like,
no, no, no. It's and yeah, no, we don't watch that. And medically speaking too, like a lot of the shows and movies and the the ET tubes that we intubate people with, they're not
yeah.
put in right, and the IVs are going the wrong way, and it just like some of the
Uh,
stuff you just start critiquing, and you're just like, oh man, this is really bad. Like,
uh.
oh, but yeah, no, I don't. I'm trying to think of like a movie that was like fire related that like, but yeah, no,
But
but yeah,
yeah, the same thing. The TV shows, it's all the
all
same
the
to me.
yeah, yeah. I'm
Yeah,
just
there's
like,
a lot more
oh,
TV
geez,
shows involving firefighting
yeah,
than there are
yeah.
movies.
Yeah, and people, I mean, who aren't around it, like they're like, oh yeah, no, this is what happens all the time, right? Like earthquakes and all these things. I'm just like, yeah, no, that's not what happens all the time. So,
You were doing sales, you were like a sales manager,
mhm.
white collar stuff, and decided that you needed a change because you hated the job.
Yep.
Um, a lot of this seems like a job that would change a person, right? That would just make them different. How has this job changed your outlook on life and people?
For me as a person, um, it has made me a way more humble person.
Mm.
And I used to be, I think, probably in my 20s, a fairly cocky, arrogant person. And now I've learned that there is more ways to do things, and that my way is not always the right way,
Mm.
and that, and also, like for other people, I don't know what that person's going through, right?
Mm.
And a lot of times, I think specifically the homeless, you get a lot of people in our industry that maybe not a lot, but you get people in our industry that go on certain people a lot of times, and then they just get jaded, bitter at
Oh,
these people. And so instead of giving them the benefit of the doubt and to treat them like my saying when I always train people, new people, young people, is to treat everybody like your family and the family that you like, not the family you don't like, but like, yeah, like that's
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
so yeah, like, so if if they need if they broke their hip and they need pain medicine, give them pain medicine so we can lift them. Or if they need whatever they need,
yeah,
yeah, like give it to them, right? Because you would give that to your family, right? And
yeah.
so, and a lot of times I think people, it's just like, oh, we're going on this person again and blah blah blah. Well, what if this is the time that is, it's actually serious, and you're treating it like it's not serious, and then
Yeah.
it's like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's just, I've learned a lot that I know it's not my emergency. That's another thing I've learned too, is it's
Mm.
not my emergency. So I've always got to be the calm one. You always got to be the calm, because everybody's
Yeah.
freaking out, right? So you always got to be the calm one, and but always treat people like, I get it. I get this is your, I go to bloody noses, and they think that that is that, and some of them are pretty bad, but I always treat them like, I would treat my own family.
When people are experiencing, like, I'm sure that from time to time you have these moments where there's fear, right?
Mhm.
You're
Oh
showing
yeah.
up at a place, it's on fire, and you
Yep.
got to go in, or you got to,
Yep.
like, I mean, I would expect that after 10, 12 years, it's a little less talking yourself into going.
Yep.
But what is it that you used to have to tell yourself to, like, get yourself kind of pumped to go in, or what do you tell other people to do when they're afraid, and it's justifiable that they're afraid?
A couple years back, there was like it was an old building in a city that was kind of connected to ours, and there was a fairly serious fire in there, and there was only one exit because it was an old building, and it was a bunch of stairs up, and it was like a
Okay.
hostel or something upstairs. And we had four people at the time that were riding all together, so it was good. But when you hit like the middle of the stairs going up to the second story, visibility, you couldn't see your hand in front of your face with your mask on. And
Wow.
so, and it was hot. It was hot. And so you couldn't see where the fire was, but it was hot. And so that was one of those ones where you're just like, oh, like, and so you lose your people really quick. And
Hmm.
I've been asked this by some younger people that are like, what do you do to, if you get, because a lot of times being in a mask,
Hmm.
you don't, maybe claustrophobic, but you even though you're getting air, you're getting oxygen through your SCBA, you start to breathe fast, and you start to
Yeah.
almost, you freak out a little bit, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the mask doesn't help. Like if I'm freaking out here, it's just you feel like you get more air for some reason. And a lot of times we firefighters die because they're in those situations, and the first thing they want to do, even though there's smoke everywhere, is take their mask off because they want to get more air, even though they're getting air to themselves. And
Yeah.
so I tell the people is, and I said it may not help for you, but I used to sing to myself when I would feel myself, my heart rate start to increase. When I was younger, my
Hmm.
heart rate start to increase, and I would start to feel my breathing increase. Either, like if my foot was caught on something, or something just small, to where it was like, okay, this is scary, right? Like, but instead of, before I even just go try to assess what was going on, um, I, I would start to sing to myself, and it worked every time. And so now, if I don't pretty much seen a lot, so I don't. I'm sure I maybe I would, but if I ever start to feel my heart rate increase, and if I start to breathe really
Yeah.
quick, I just start to sing to myself. Doesn't matter the song. I just start to sing. It almost gets my mind off of things.
Yeah.
And I enjoy music, and so just start to sing, start to hum. So,
Got it.
and then
Yeah.
I kind of it slows my breathing down, and it calms me down a little bit, and then while I'm singing I can at least assess what's going on. Um and and there's been a couple times where, like, if it's too hairy, like, of a situation, my lieutenant and I will be in the structure and be like, "We shouldn't be in here. We shouldn't be in here. Let's get out of here." And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, no, that makes sense." So,
Yeah.
yeah.
How long do you think you're going to keep doing this?
Uh, until I told myself that if I am ever a liability to somebody that I'm with,
Yeah.
I will stop doing it. It's hard because you see people, and I'm gonna get there eventually, but at an age where it's like, okay, like, I'm not as
Yeah.
sharp as I once was, but then I don't want to, big guy again. I don't want to have somebody hold my hand and have me be a liability for somebody
Yeah.
or multiple people on the fire scene. Like, I want to be there to help. So, and I think
Yeah.
anytime where I feel that, I'll call it a day. My rough estimate is probably around 60, but if my body can't do it, or if my mind's not as sharp as it is, or now, or whatever, then I may have to call it sooner than that, but probably around 60 sometime. No,
Okay. So off the top of your head, what's the best part of being a firefighter?
I've been told that this is not a good answer because everybody says this, but it is the truth. And if people, when people know me, they get it. I truly love helping people. I truly do. It is the best thing for me. Like,
Mm.
even we talked about, people bringing treats and saying thank you for saving my life. It doesn't even have to be that. Just the
Yeah.
people that, and
Just
most
knowing
of
that
these,
today you made a difference.
yeah, and
And
some of these people, yep,
yeah.
and some of these people that call, and they just need a calm voice. They need somebody that says,
Oh,
"Hey, it's okay," right? And mental health, right, is a big deal right now, and,
mm,
and or it, we're starting to understand it more, and, like, just being there to be like, "Hey, we're okay. Like, everything is fine. Everything, not fine, but everything is going to be okay, right?" Like,
yeah.
and making somebody, um worst day not being that bad by the time they are entering the ambulance, right? Like, being able
Yeah.
to decrease their breathing, or decrease their stress, or decrease their
Mm,
anxiety, or anything like that, to where maybe I don't even have to give them something medicinally, right? Or,
yeah.
like, just talking to them, I can, so that part is, truly the best part for me.
No, that's cool. I mean, I get it that you kind of feel like it's sort of a Miss America pageant answer. I want world
Yep.
peace, but
Yep.
you know what? If that's the truth, then screw it.
Yep.
Everybody else can just figure it out. If someone is thinking about becoming a firefighter, what kinds of questions should they ask themselves? You know, before they sign up, or should they
I
sign up and just say, hey, you know what? Let's figure it out. We'll
Somebody told me this a long time ago when I first started, when I got hired, and he said that he goes, Adam, you have what's something I can't train. He goes, I can train paramedics to do any of these, how to do IVs or intubate or all these other things. These are all things I can train somebody to do. He goes,
Hmm.
but I can't train empathy. And he goes, you have empathy. And so I feel as though if you feel like you have a big heart and you are a very empathetic person, um, nursing, firefighting, doctor, like something that serves the public
Yeah.
is huge. And if you feel like you are always wanting to help people, um, I feel like that is because I see the men and women here that aren't empathetic that still are firefighters, and it's not a good fit. They
Mm.
still do the job, but it's just
Yeah.
not a good fit, right? Like, and
Right.
so I think it's an easier transition. I think it's the first thing, and then obviously being physically fit to do the job and knowing that a lot of these things that normal 40-hour week they get like regular sleep and they get all these things that we're we don't get. My sleep schedule at home is messed up. Even at work it's messed up. So
Mm.
it's just one of those things that I've accepted as a 40 some year old guy, like it's just because of the job I do. So there's a lot of things that are definitely different as because of the job I do. But I truly believe that if you feel that you want to help people, I think it's a phenomenal job. A phenomenal job.
Okay, so before we started recording, I had made a comment. So I didn't get any questions from my grandkids. But you had made a comment that you wind up getting some really great questions from Cub Scouts
That's
or
good.
boys,
Yeah.
and when you guys are at a school or whatever. What are the best questions that you've gotten from the kids, the ones that
So
you love?
they usually ask us about if we have a pole and if we have a dog. Those are our first couple
Okay,
ones
like a
because
Dalmatian. Do you have a
yeah,
Dalmatian?
Dalmatian, yeah, a dog, yeah. They're like, do we have a? And we had a cat for a while, but the cat was out of control. So, but yeah,
Okay.
like those are our first two questions, and then they ask about how much water does our fire engine carry,
Huh?
and then they usually ask about our tools,
Okay.
and then we show them our hydraulic tools for like how we get into auto accidents and things like
Oh
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Do they
they
still
ask us,
call them the jaws of life?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We usually call them just the jaws or the spreaders.
Got it.
But
Okay.
yeah, they're battery powered now. When I first got in, they
Oh,
were
nice.
hydraulics, and so now they're
Yeah.
battery powered, which is great. Um, they ask us about our how much our turnout gear weighs and how much all of that weighs. They ask us how hot a fire usually gets before
Okay.
you're like, oh, it's getting hot. And
What's the
that's
answer to that one?
it's about, I would say, 300, 400 degrees. You're just like it's starting to get hot.
Holy
It's starting
cow.
to get really
So,
hot.
so do you guys have something on you that lets you know how hot it is? Oh crap.
So we
Okay.
have in our mask we have a tick thermal
Okay.
imaging camera. And
Okay.
that can, if you so yes, if you put it up and you point it at something and
Yeah.
it's the fire or it's somewhere in the room, it'll tell you how hot it is.
So how hot
But
are doors that there's a fire on the other side? How hot are doors?
doors doors like you can feel warmth,
Yeah.
but it's not like doors. PSA: always shut your door at night because that'll save your life. So it's
Okay.
if there are fires in another room, a door can, especially a solid core door. Solid core doors can keep that room tenable for somebody for a
Got
fairly
it.
long time.
Okay.
So they're actually a good fire stop for a while. Usually, if it's under like 100 degrees, it's like, okay, it's not that bad. 180 degrees, okay, it's getting a little hot. And then, it goes up from there. And then you just, figure it out. And then a lot of times, if we're spraying water and it's a pretty big fire, steam is a big problem because
Oh.
you have a giant fire. Now you're putting water on it, which it
Yeah.
instantly creates steam, and
Yeah.
steam will burn you.
Oh
Steam
yeah,
will burn.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I
steam will
was
burn
I
you.
was thinking about not being able to see, but
But
Wow.
SEMO, like, and so we try to cover everything, but a lot of times, like, we have a hood that covers. I mean, we're wearing a helmet, but we have like a hood that covers the back part of our neck when we lean down. But
Uh-huh.
sometimes that opens up, and you'll get steam burns on the back of your neck.
Woo.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it gets hot. It gets really hot.
At the very end, so at the end, I show up and I've got like questions from my grandkids, which you kind of like filled in there
Yeah,
for me.
yeah,
But the very last thing, I like to give the guest the final word, and what I want them to do in your case, just becoming a firefighter at an age that's older than most, right?
yep,
That's
hmm
a there had to be, some things that you were asking yourself, is this a smart move? Is this, like, can I actually do this?
right,
Um, if I was to sit you down with somebody that's in that same spot, right?
hmm
Here's a guy that's 29, that's
yep,
39, that they're in a job that they hate.
yep,
Um, and they're trying to weigh things out. Do I stay in the job that I hate and just gut it out and just be miserable for half of my waking hours, or
hmm
do I go for this thing and give up what I know pays the bills? Like, what questions would you ask them, and what would be the words of encouragement that you would give them after they determine that I should do this?
I I started after college in sales, and I remember um, my buddy's dad. He was like, "Well, sales is kind of like it's kind of like dating. You're going to get a lot of no's. You're going to get a lot of no's, but then you're going to get a yes that someone would like to go on a date with you, and then that's like a sale, right? Like, and he goes, you just have to like tenacious. You just have to like you. You always have to work to. You're gonna get a lot of people that I don't want to buy. I don't want to buy. I don't want to buy. I don't want to buy or whatever. And then you're gonna get yes and yes and yes and yes and yes. And so I feel when I started the fire service that it was very similar to that. It's very similar to because I when I applied to Portland and Tumwater and Tacoma and Seattle and all these different fire departments, I got told no. I got told no a lot. I got told no a lot. I could have said, you know what? I'm gonna mail it in and I'm gonna do something else. But I said I'm gonna tenacious, right? Like so, I'm just gonna be okay. To
Yeah,
know what can I learn? Like how, I would call these people and be like, what did I do at the interview? How can I be better at the interview? How can I how can I be better at all these different things to because this is what I wanted. This is I was like, okay, this is what I want to do, and there's no turning back, right? Um, there's no going by. If I'm playing poker, I'm shoving all in. I like this is my track, and so
got
but
it.
I was
And that's
open
what you would
to.
tell other people to do.
Yep, and I open to
Just
criticisms and open
mm,
to things done to change and open because if you're shut off to all that and you're this is who you're going to be, then it's not going to work, right? Like you got to learn to do different things and be like learn how to be different and
got it.
open. So
Got it. So just do it, and
yeah, oh yeah,
don't
like
look back, and you'll
I
figure it
yeah.
out.
Yep, and I tell anybody like if they are miserable in their job and like go do something that you want to do. I would I don't know what I would do if I'm not doing this job. Like I love this job. So
Yeah,
like
yeah,
and I wish I would tell myself I should have went to paramedic school when I was 18, 19, 20 years old and
yeah,
then should have done that when I was but it is what it is, but
yeah.
yeah.
Well, yeah, and you can't unwind the clock. You can't
No.
you can't shove
No.
it backwards. And at the same time, yeah. So there's a it feels like there's an equation somewhere in there where you can say, I still got time. I can still
Yeah.
do this. If I
Oh
don't
yeah.
do it now, I'm going to regret not trying.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Adam Strobeck, I really appreciate you being on.
Of
And
course.
Hey, I hope that you enjoyed Adam Strobeck as much as I did. He's a heck of a guy, and he's doing some things that are really right, and he's making a difference. And if you know somebody that is a fireman in a big city, I would love to talk to them, because I know that big city firemen are living a bit different life than a smaller town. His town is 7,500 people, 7,800 people, something like that. And it's spread out, and it's got a bunch of older buildings. I would love to hear from a bigger city. The whole point of the show, I hope that it's getting across that the whole point of the show is that there's a lot of people that have decided that they are not going to play it safe. They're not going to pursue a common career, common lifestyle, or a common hobby and that sort of thing. So I want to talk to these people to find out what they're doing differently, so that we can overcome the fear of doing things that we ought to be doing, and overcoming the stories that we tell ourselves, the stories in our heads that shove us down and inspire us to play it small, and actually, in air quotes here, play it safe. Because to play it safe is the most dangerous thing that I think, and the most regrettable thing that we can do with our lives. All right, I'm Adam Funderburg, and I hope you have a really great week and a great day and a really great life. I will catch up with you later. Bye-bye.